When I was 6, I swallowed a piece of gum. I did the math. I was convinced that gum would be sitting inside my stomach until I turned 13. For years, I just accepted that. Didn't question it. 7 years sounded about right to me. It was specific enough to feel scientific. And that's what the dumbest lies have in common. They don't sound dumb when you first hear them. They sound like facts. Some of them are harmless. Some of them cost you time, money, sleep, relationships. Some of them get so baked into your thinking you stop noticing they're even there. So that's what we're doing. About the gum, though, the gum base, that chewy part that makes gum what it is. Your body can't break it down. Your stomach doesn't know what to do with it the way it handles bread or an apple. And that's where the myth grabs you, because that part is true. Your stomach is confused by it. But indigestible doesn't mean permanent resident. Your digestive tract moves things along, whether it understands them or not. The gum passes through in a few days, same as a piece of corn or a watermelon seed or anything else your body decides isn't worth the effort. It doesn't stick to your stomach lining. It doesn't accumulate into some horrifying gumball. It leaves. Nobody told me that when I was 6. What I got instead was a very confident adult saying 7 years like they'd consulted a medical textbook. And I believed it because it was specific, and because adults were supposed to know things. That was just the first one. Your parents gave you one set, school gave you another, the internet gave you a third, and none of these sources coordinated with each other to check whether any of it was actually true. Some are about your body, some are about your brain, some are about how you work, how you sleep, what you eat, how you think about money and relationships and success. A few of these myths are harmless, the gum thing, fine. Nobody was hurt. Others shape how you spend your mornings, how you eat, how you judge your own productivity, how you think about people who haven't succeeded. Those are worth pulling apart. And your body has been lied to the most, so we'll start there. Cracking your knuckles causes arthritis. You heard that one. Everyone heard that one. A man named Donald Unger heard it from his mother, and he decided to test it by cracking the knuckles on only his left hand, every single day for 60 years. His right hand was the control group. After 6 decades of the most committed experiment in the history of petty family disagreements, he reported his findings. No arthritis in either hand. No difference whatsoever. He published the results. He won an Ig Nobel Prize in 2009, which is the award they give for research that makes you laugh and then makes you think. The sound, by the way, is just gas bubbles collapsing in the synovial fluid around the joint. A tiny implosion of nitrogen. Your knuckles are fine. The head heat myth. You lose most of your body heat through your head. This was stated as fact for decades. The origin is a 1950s U.S. Army field manual that got misread and then repeated without anyone going back to check. What actually happens is you lose heat proportional to whatever surface area is exposed. If you're outside in a winter coat, pants, gloves, boots, and no hat, then yes, your head is doing most of the heat loss because your head is the only part of you that's uncovered. Any exposed skin would do the same job. Skin is skin. If you went outside wearing only a hat and nothing else, your head would be the warmest part of you. But that would be a different kind of problem. Eating carrots improves your night vision. You've heard this since childhood, probably at a dinner table, probably from someone who loved you and was trying to get you to eat a vegetable. The reason they believed it is one of the strangest origin stories of any myth on this list. During World War II, the British Royal Air Force developed radar technology that let their pilots detect German bombers at night with unprecedented accuracy. A massive tactical advantage, and the British military needed to hide the real explanation from German intelligence. So they planted a cover story in the press. Their pilots had extraordinary night vision because they ate lots of carrots. The newspapers reported it. The public believed it. Parents started telling their children. 80 years later, kids are still sitting at dinner tables, being told to eat their carrots for their eyes. Your parents told you to eat your carrots because of a lie designed to fool the Luftwaffe. Keep that in mind next time someone says myths are harmless. The tongue map. You saw this in a textbook. Neat little zones. Sweet at the tip, salty on the sides, bitter at the back. The whole thing came from a mistranslation. A German researcher published a study in 1901, and an American scientist translated the results decades later and misread the diagram. The diagram entered textbooks. For a century, teachers printed the map, Students memorized the zones, and nobody went back to the original study. Taste receptors for every flavor are distributed across the entire tongue. The zones never existed. We just kept printing the map. You can't sneeze with your eyes open. Probably also wrong. It's a reflex, and your eyes won't pop out. The myth has no credible origin and no particular consequence. Just something everyone repeats. While we're at it, humans don't have five senses. We have proprioception. That's how you know where your arm is without looking at it. Thermoception is temperature, and your vestibular sense handles balance. Interoception covers the awareness of your own internal state, like hunger or a racing heart. Depending on how you count, we have somewhere between 9 and 21 senses. The five senses model comes from Aristotle, ancient philosophy, still getting printed in modern textbooks because nobody updated the number. Speaking of numbers that stuck around too long, 10%. That's supposedly all you use of your brain, with 90% just sitting there idle, waiting for you to activate it through meditation or a pill or a movie starring Scarlett Johansson. Your brain is about 2% of your body weight and consumes roughly 20% of your total energy. Evolution does not maintain tissue that expensive if it's sitting idle. Brain imaging shows activity across the entire organ. Different regions activate for different tasks, and the dark areas in any given scan are just the ones off duty for that particular moment. They cycle in and out constantly. The origin of the 10% myth is murky, possibly a misquote of William James, possibly a misunderstanding of early neuroscience about glial cells. Join our YouTube membership and get exclusive perks like early access to scripts, input on future topics about productivity, and connect with a like-minded community that gets it. Click join below and let's build your easier, more intentional life together. I'm not sure anyone has pinpointed it definitively. Left brain, right brain, logical versus creative, also a myth. The corpus callosum connects both hemispheres, and they communicate continuously. fMRI studies show no evidence that people are meaningfully left-brained or right-brained. Language, math, creativity, spatial reasoning, all of these involve distributed networks across the whole brain. One brain doing everything at once. The sugar myth. This one is elegant in how wrong it is. Researchers ran double-blind studies where parents were told their children had consumed sugar. Some kids had, some hadn't. The parents who believed their child had eaten sugar reported significantly more hyperactive behavior, even when their child had eaten none. The parents' expectation was driving the observation. The sugar wasn't making the kids wild. It's a birthday party, with cake and balloons and 15 other 6-year-olds. The kids are excited because it's a party. You would be too. I would be too. Now, your brain might be working fine, but the way you're using your workday probably isn't. Multitasking, you're probably pretty good at it. You'd say so anyway. The people who rate themselves as excellent multitaskers consistently perform worst on actual multitasking tests. Weirdly, the people most confident they're great at multitasking usually do the worst at it. Humans task switch, and every switch has a cost. Gloria Mark's research at UC Irving found that after an interruption, it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully re-engage with the original task. 23 minutes every time. Think about your own afternoon. I checked my phone twice while researching this section. You check a notification, reply to a message, glance at another tab, and your brain spends the next quarter of an hour crawling back to where it was. Every notification you've enabled is an interruption you configured yourself. You went into the settings, you turned them on, and now they're fragmenting your attention in intervals you chose to allow. And procrastination gets called laziness, which is usually wrong. Most of the time it's anxiety, perfectionism, or a task that still feels too big to start. Call it laziness and you stop solving it. You just start judging it. The 10,000-hour rule got flattened into just keep going. But the original point was deliberate practice, feedback, correction, working right at the edge of your ability. 10,000 hours of bad technique just makes you better at doing it wrong. The number fit on a book cover, though, so that's what traveled. And then there's the gospel of the early riser. Wake up at 5, journal, meditate. Do your best work before the world is awake. The productivity aisle at the bookstore is essentially a shrine to morning people. And look, if you're naturally a morning person, great. Chronotypes are largely genetic. A night owl forced into a 5 a.m. routine doesn't become more productive. They become sleep-deprived and vaguely resentful of everyone who talks about their miracle morning. Night owls are also out there doing real work at 1 a.m. They just don't feel the need to make a podcast about it. The real variable is Whether your schedule matches your biology, a night owl doing focused work at midnight is still doing focused work. They're just catching different worms. Power naps help if you're tired. They do not erase a week of bad sleep. And blue light probably gets more blame than it deserves. A lot of the problem is what you're doing on the screen, not just the screen itself. The bigger myth is sleeping in on weekends. This feels like recovery, feels earned, but what's actually happening is simpler than you'd think. When you stay up late Friday and Saturday and sleep in both mornings, you shift your circadian rhythm forward. By Monday morning, your internal clock thinks it's still the middle of the night. Researchers call this social jet lag. You're giving yourself jet lag every single weekend. Then you sit at your desk on Monday morning, groggy, irritable, struggling to focus, and blaming Monday. Monday is innocent. You flew to a different time zone on Friday night. You just didn't leave your apartment. Now, things your body supposedly needs. Vitamin C prevents colds. Linus Pauling believed this, a Nobel Prize-winning chemist who was brilliant and specifically wrong about this particular claim. Decades of research since have shown that vitamin C may slightly reduce the duration of a cold in certain populations under certain conditions. It does not prevent colds. It does not cure them. Pauling's reputation gave the idea credibility it hadn't earned, and the supplement industry ran with it for decades. Detox teas. These promise to flush toxins from your body overnight. Ask a simple question. Which toxins? The marketing never names them, because naming them would require evidence that they exist in dangerous quantities and that the tea removes them. The language stays vague on purpose. Toxins, impurities, buildup. Meanwhile, your liver and kidneys perform this exact function continuously, without packaging, without an influencer code, for free. The teas are mostly laxatives with good branding. If someone selling you a detox can't name what's being removed, nothing is being removed. Organic food is pesticide-free, it isn't. Organic farming uses pesticides derived from natural sources rather than synthetic ones, and some need to be applied in higher quantities because they're less effective per application. Organic describes the source of the pesticide, not the absence of one. The label communicates something different from what most people think it communicates. And then, there's the 8 glasses of water a day. The 8 takes 8 rule traces back to a 1945 recommendation from the U.S. Food and Nutrition Board, which included one sentence that nobody seems to have read. Most of this quantity is contained in prepared foods. The water in your soup counts, the water in your fruit counts, the water in your coffee counts. Everyone read the number. Nobody read the next sentence. We've been aggressively hydrating, based on a misread footnote for 80 years. Friends fade after college. People drift, lives diverge, and one day you realize you haven't talked to someone you used to see every day. That's the story anyway, and it's a comfortable one, because it removes responsibility. Friendships don't evaporate on their own. What happens is, 2 people with full calendars make a mutual unspoken assumption that the other one would reach out first. Nobody texts, nobody calls. Then 3 months pass, then 6, then a year. At that point, the gap itself becomes the reason to stay silent, because now it would feel weird. Both people agreed to pretend the drift was inevitable. It wasn't. If you thought of someone specific just now, that's worth paying attention to. Money and happiness, the famous number was $75,000. Above that, the research said, more money didn't make you happier. People loved this finding because it was neat, quotable, and made everyone who earned less feel better, and everyone who earned more feel wise. Except subsequent research has complicated the picture a lot. The relationship between income and well-being appears to continue above that threshold, varies by person, and depends heavily on what you mean by happiness. The honest answer is, it depends. We kept the bumper sticker because it was cleaner. Rejection, a manuscript gets rejected 30 times. The 31st publisher says yes, and the book wins awards. The manuscript didn't change between rejection 29 and acceptance 31. The fit changed. Rejection is data about compatibility, and treating one no as a permanent ruling conflates a single data point with a conclusion. Positive visualization. Since we're here, Gabriele Oettingen's research found that pure positive visualization actually makes people less likely to achieve their goals. The brain seems to treat vivid imagination of success as partial completion, releasing a sense of reward without any of the associated effort. The approach that works better is called mental contrasting, imagining the goal and the obstacles. The fantasy alone actually slows you down. All right, the animal kingdom has been taking hits for centuries. Goldfish have a 3-second memory. They don't. Goldfish can be trained to navigate mazes, respond to light cues, and remember the training months later. The 3-second claim has no known origin and no supporting evidence. The goldfish remembers exactly where the food comes from. Give it some credit. Bats are blind. Bats have functioning eyes. They also have echolocation, which is basically biological sonar. So bats can see, and they have a secondary navigation system that operates in total darkness. Blind as a bat is the opposite of reality. Bats are better equipped than we are. Ostriches bury their heads in sand when they're scared. What ostriches actually do is dig shallow holes in the ground and rotate their eggs with their beaks. From a distance, this looks like head burying. They're performing childcare. We looked at a bird doing attentive parenting and decided it was having a panic attack. That probably says more about us than about the ostrich. Bulls charge at the color red. Bulls are partially colorblind and can't distinguish red from gray. They charge at the movement of the cape. A gray cape, a blue cape, a white cape. Same reaction. The red is for the audience. The bull doesn't care. Chameleons change color primarily to regulate body temperature and communicate with other chameleons, not to blend in with their surroundings. A dark chameleon is absorbing more heat, and a bright one is signaling aggression or trying to attract a mate. Camouflage is a secondary benefit. The chameleon is having an emotion, which is more interesting if you think about it. So many of these animal myths exist because we watched something from a distance and guessed wrong. Same as the ostrich, same as the bull, we filled in the blanks with whatever made the best story. And speaking of stories we tell ourselves, here's one that shaped an entire industry. Diamonds are rare. Diamonds are not naturally scarce. De Beers, the mining company that controlled the majority of the world's diamond supply for most of the 20th century, maintained artificial scarcity by stockpiling diamonds and carefully controlling how many reached the market. The price was engineered. The perception of rarity was too. And the tradition of the diamond engagement ring, that's recent history. In 1947, the advertising agency N.W. Ayer launched a campaign for De Beers with the slogan, "A diamond is forever." Before that campaign, diamond engagement rings were not the cultural norm. The agency's explicit goal, stated in their internal documents, was to make diamonds a psychological necessity for proposals. They succeeded. Within a generation, the diamond ring became an unquestioned ritual. You proposed with a 1947 ad campaign. The Great Wall of China is visible from space. The wall is roughly 15 to 30 feet wide. At the altitude of low Earth orbit, that's below the resolution of the human eye. Multiple astronauts have confirmed they cannot see it. You can see cities, highway networks, large agricultural patterns. A wall the width of a road doesn't register. The myth persists because it sounds impressive and nobody checks. Hard work always guarantees success. This one matters because it shapes how we judge people. Hard work is necessary, and almost nobody achieves anything significant without it. Hard work alone is also clearly insufficient. Luck matters, timing matters, access matters, starting conditions matter. The network you happen to be born into matters. These factors are real, and they are unevenly distributed. The problem is the word guarantees. That's where it stops being true. The reason that particular lie persists is that hard work is one important factor among many, including some you can't control, doesn't fit on a motivational poster. So we kept the shorter version, and then we used it to explain away outcomes that weren't actually people's fault. Your gut feeling is always right, intuition is real, it's pattern recognition, your brain drawing on accumulated experience to produce a fast judgment. But it's only as reliable as the patterns it was trained on. If your past experience is limited or skewed, your gut will be too. Gut feelings are data, worth weighing alongside everything else. Déjà vu means something, a past life, a parallel universe, a glitch in the matrix. The neuroscience is less cinematic. Déjà vu appears to be a memory processing error, the brain briefly misfiling a new experience into the already seen category. A sorting mistake, basically. Your brain has the same organizational problems as your email inbox. Full moons make people act erratically. Multiple large-scale studies across hospital admissions, crime rates, and psychiatric episodes have found no correlation with the lunar cycle. None. The reason it feels true is confirmation bias. If you believe the moon does something, you notice the confirming evidence and ignore everything else. Age brings wisdom. Age brings experience, sure. Wisdom requires processing that experience, updating beliefs when evidence arrives, being willing to admit you were wrong, actually doing something with what happened instead of just carrying it. Some people reflect on their experiences and grow. Some people have the same year 40 times and call it a life. The difference is the reflection, and the reflection is optional. So what do you do with 40-something myths that just got dismantled? Probably nothing dramatic, honestly. You're not going to rewire your whole worldview over a YouTube video. Maybe the next time someone says something that sounds clean and confident and specific, 7 years, 10%, 8 glasses, you pause for a second. Because the person probably believes it, and that's the whole problem. The people who told us these things believe them too, every single one. The lies were always confident. The truth was usually a longer sentence with a caveat and a footnote that nobody read. You're going to be okay. The gum passed through in a few days, quietly, without ceremony. Years of low-grade anxiety for nothing. Which is, honestly, a pretty good summary for most of the things on this list. Most of the stuff we carry just passes through. We never got told that part. And hey, if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Also, let me know your thoughts on what I just shared. Oh, and there's more. I've just started a Patreon to help support these videos and connect with you more directly. Check out the link in the description if you'd like to join.